Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Corey Davidson, the author of the 4X Method, and I am here to introduce you to one of the leaders who is featured in our book, The 4X Method. And I couldn't be more excited to introduce him. But first, I wanted to invite you, if you haven't seen that, if you don't know about the 4X Method, I invite you to visit the4xmethod.com. This is a book that is going live in Amazon, so you can order it. It's the antidote to silos. And in it, we have, we're sharing really an entire framework on how to approach, engagement within your teams so that you have a unified view and a unified vision to deliver growth for your organization. And in the book, I have featured several interviews with industry leaders who have a perspective, from everything from the customer experience, the brand experience, the employee experience. And today we're going to talk about the product experience and how this is one of the X's in the 4X method. And I am very excited to introduce you today to to one of our leaders who's featured in this book. His name is Saurabh Jain, and he is a senior principal product manager at HPE, and had a tremendous experience, with the technology world. So who best to share what it involves? So help me welcome, applause, clap, clap, clap. We have here Saurabh Jain. Welcome, Saurabh. How are you doing?
Hi, Corey. Doing great. I'm excited to be featured in the book. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. And I was, we were talking with Saurabh before we got started, this interview, and I wanted to share with the audience how we met. So I think it was not by coincidence, but it's very serendipitous that Saurabh and I ended up sitting on the same round table during one of the TSIA conferences in Las Vegas. And, we started chatting about silos. And then all of a sudden it was instant, kind of like, aha, we know that this is a challenge like this. I'm not making this up, right? And Saurabh has so much insights in it. And as a result, I really thank you, Saurabh, because you were so kind to say, yes, I want, to being interviewed and being a part of the book. So I'm really excited. Can you share with us a little bit, Saurabh, about your background? You've been like 30 years in the technology world and in many roles, and presently working in kind of like building that engine, right, to deliver innovation to your customers. So what does your jobs, in your career, what has that entitled?
Yeah, and I'm humbled to be talking to you about this today. So, yeah, I mean, I've been in the industry long enough to remember the time when we had modems to connect to the internet, to the time now where we are looking at how to leverage and use AI in our solutions. Um, Ever since I started on this journey, connecting folks and products and services has been a key because being in the internet industry for some time. When I started, I started in working in a garage net, connecting modems, if you remember, and stacks of modems to help people dial in and connect to the larger network of community of folks to, for simple services such as emails, maybe news servers, and things of that nature. And looking at that from that aspect, uh, nothing much has changed in terms of bridging the silos to the services that you want to be able to deliver. So, what do I mean by that? When you're actually setting up, for example, when I was setting up and managing a service provider back in Australia, it was all about not only bringing the technology into play and working with the technical teams to the solution, but it was also about bringing our sales, the marketing team together to be able to translate how it delivers a service to what our customers want. And being able to understand the customer viewpoint to ensure we are able to deliver the experience that they are looking for. And this has been a journey in my past 20 to 30 years, when we are actually looking at technology and what it can actually deliver to our customers and customers business, because technology is to drive the outcomes that we want to be able to achieve, right? And from that perspective, it has been a really interesting career journey for me, from developing a customer success model and an experience model.
That is great. I love that you are referencing that it starts with understanding who do you serve, right? Who you're building this for, and in this fast-paced, ever-changing environment that such as it is the technology world, right? It's like how things like the silos has always been an issue, but now it's like you have to move at a faster pace, right? Like now you have to like bring alignment in a much faster pace, and in doing so, like add to that, as I understand, you have also the challenge of working in different regions, right? Like different clients, different teams in different regions. What have you found is a way that you help connect, stay connected between your teams and keeping them with a focus on the customer?
Yep. No, a key portion of that is very relevant. You have to engage silos for innovation. It's a key part. And being a global leader, managing teams across various countries, it becomes very important. We need to be able to understand the human side of these barriers and the effort it takes to bring people together around a common goal. And I think that becomes a key. There are those barriers, maybe just a simple cultural barriers when you're working across different regions, not only in terms of how we work, but also how we actually have to deliver those experiences globally. And I think that becomes a key portion of it. Uh, Now, improving the customer experience when the teams and the partners work together, the potential for innovation truly becomes limitless. So we have to understand that we are driving towards something more bigger than what we actually just developing in a silo, right? To the impact that we can have globally. From that perspective, when I am talking to our customers or the various teams globally, it becomes very important to understand the barriers to those silos. May it be as simple as the way we use the technology, the interactions, the interfaces to the UI that you have, the a user interface, to also the experience that you're getting from that user interface. May it be your browser, like we used to use, like Mozilla or Netscape before, to what you're using today, maybe Safari or Netscape's Google Chrome. So it becomes pretty important for how we want to drive that. As a technology leader, our experience management has actually become fairly important, at least for me, right? As I own the services and I work across the various teams. And it's become more meaningful, whether it's in the digital or physical space. So, from that perspective, I think those interactions are taking more importance than ever before.
Yes, and I can imagine. Well, what one of the things, I can imagine the complexity, right, of all the different barriers, right, that you are referencing, and in my book, I reference a lot the specific challenge when it's business to business, right? Like many times we talk about business to business and forget that business to business, there's still a lot of humans involved in it, right? But you don't get the advantage that you do in a retail environment or in a consumer product where you have, where it's going to be, you have massive amounts of consumers that you can tap on their shoulders and ask for information, or there's more visibility because you're interacting and learning from them on a constant basis. What are some techniques that you and your teams use to stay engaged, in a business to business setting, to with your audience when time is limited and also the base is smaller than what it would be in a consumer base?
Yeah, there's definitely challenges in that space, right? You have competing priorities to meet within the company to be able to deliver something that because the customer wants in a business to business model. That's for sure. Uh, it's the ability to understand, listen, and be able to prioritize. I think that becomes a key. You're talking about hardware teams, software teams, your support teams. They all have different priorities. Then you have hardware folks who are focused on innovation and sales numbers, and your software team is also thinking about new features and subscription models, right? And support is worried about keeping the customer happy post sales. So you have all those aspects that you need to take into account. And now none of them are really talking about each other the way they need to bring it all together in the services construct. And I think that becomes a key portion of what we're talking about here, Corey.
Yeah, it's kind of like, for example, last Saturday, I was just delivering a talk to a UX community, right, to the user experience community here in Calgary. And one of the analogies I used is like everybody has a slice of their own pizza, right? And everybody's eating a different slice of pizza. And it's like, you that's the one that you prefer or you're familiar with, and then who looks after the entire pizza? It sounds like it's you, Sarah, right? So, so it's kind of like that role of the silo buster that is someone who's looking at the entire picture, right? It's like in the
Oh, definitely
banquet, right?
so.
Yeah.
Definitely so. And it gets multiplied threefold, fourfold, fivefold, as you mentioned earlier, right, with your global teams that you have to
Mhm.
manage and global customers that you have to be able to deliver to. Definitely, it's I call it the bridging of the silos.
The bridging of exactly. Look, and so one. So you have referenced a lot that is, listening. So you mentioned, about the ability to understand the customer, to listen, and to prioritize in handling, different competing priorities with teams. That's I'm sure something that many of our listeners here, our audience are facing as well in different roles, right? It's not unique. In fact, I think it's like 75% of companies are saying that silos are limiting growth, are limiting innovation, right? And in this case, what would be your advice, Saurabh, in regards to what have you found helps you give that unified view to the teams?
From my perspective, looking at the need and the requirement of the customer drives it. The urgency really comes from our customers in how we can actually drive success to the customer's business. Um, because our customers are going through their own digital transformation, right? Just like we are. And they need more flexibility to be able to deliver on this. So internally, you have to start having conversations across these teams in terms of what it means for the customer and what we are trying to drive towards. Bringing all of them together on that single mindset on what we want that customer experience, the product experience to be from that mindset. And that ties in to our employee experience on how we can also deliver on. So it all comes together from that aspect of sense of urgency to say to deliver on the requirements of the customer.
Yeah, so you touched on three of the X's in the 4X method,
Yes.
right? You're talking about, yeah, you say, like there's the customer, there's, the product, there's the employee. And of course, you know the book well, but can our audience guess, the next 4X, like the other X, right? So we got
Yes.
three. And then the fourth one is brand, right? How does all of this, impacts, it's like it's not, they're not different parts of a whole. Like when you're talking about, the customer is so connected to the brand as well, right? And your
E-
product is so connected to the brand, right? So
Exactly. Save the best for the last, right?
yeah.
And that was the pop quiz to the audience, right? What's the fourth one? So
Yeah.
the brand. And that's where it all comes together. That becomes a key part of where you want to be able to drive the service in regards to the guardrails to ensuring success for yourself and for the customers in terms of branding. I think the branding is a key portion of how I have been looking at the product and the service offering as well. And I think it becomes very key. And there's so many aspects to brand experience as well that not only allows you to drive what you're trying to do, but also from the cultural aspect of it, which has an impact. So I'm kind of excited about this book. It covers those aspects of it really nicely. So now it's awesome.
Yes, yes, we're changing the script, right? Saurabh, it's like it's not just about product. It's not just about, really delivering, customer experience. It's like there's employee experience, right? Like there are employees involved in. You referenced the cultural component, which is so critical, right? In finding, not only the corporate culture, but all of those, individual subcultures within the organization too that you need to understand. So this has been very, a great conversation, Sarah, because you're living this day in and day out in managing all of these parts of the business. We're reminding the audience that it's about the human experience, right? That it's about that interaction and about how do you bring back the customer at the center of the organization. So what would be your advice, final advice for leaders who are looking to bring back, that human centric approach
Yeah,
into innovation as well?
yeah. Uh, I would say, look, silos extend beyond organizational boundaries, right? To truly serve the customer, companies need to think about all the pieces of the puzzle and how they fit together internally and externally. As the pace of technological change accelerates, we need to think about the adaptability quotient and be able to leverage that and ensure the customer experience and all the experience that are relevant to the organization are taken into account and built into the DNA of the organization and how we want to be able to deliver this. Keeping in mind the experience management is a field that is gaining tremendous importance as we move into the world of AI and how we want to leverage it and use it moving forward as well.
Yes, thank you. And for those who are curious, like, what about AI, right? Like, it's like a new territory for many, but it's a real thing. So in the book, there's an entire section about the implications of AI in the modern customer experience. Just I'd like to challenge that. It's go beyond like the content creation or this or being a consumer of it, but really solving deep problems, right? Solving critical problems. And one of the key points, when it comes to this, adoption of AI in technology and innovation, is data, right? It's like looking at what about the data, right? That's where it all departs. It's like, do you have a good stewardship of your data and a good sense of it too? So you just teased me to talk about that, because we can talk about AI for like a long time and everything. But and
Sure
as you're
can.
saying, and these are different waves of technology, but this one is a huge wave, right? It's like this one is going so fast.
Yep. And keep in mind, Corey, every time something technological change comes through, we think this is the huge wave. This is the, you know, remember from the time when we had the internet come through,
Yes.
didn't we think that was a huge wave? And then when we were having all the commerce sites come up, that was a huge wave. Then
Yeah.
remember when we moved over from PBX to voice over IP and IP
Mhm.
telephony, that was a huge wave. And then you saw the discussion we are having today, right, through virtual means, and what COVID brought with
Yeah.
the pandemic, that changed our we transformed as well at that time. So every way we see it almost becomes like it's a next huge wave. And I
Yeah.
think AI is another wave, and the underpinning aspect of it is the adaptability question.
Hmm.
And that's where this becomes a keyboard part of it. And our experiences that you talk about in your book should be part of our DNA in terms of what we are trying to drive as an outcome
Hmm.
as these waves come and go. And that's where I think our experiences really lean in
Yeah.
with wisdom that we have gained over a period of time.
I love that word. Yeah, the wisdom, and you definitely have that, Sarah, because you have seen, and it's like the calmness in which you talk about it. Now, one of the things that I did uh, notice also, like how fast, in each wave, every time there's a new wave, there's a faster adoption. Like it
Mm.
took 5 years, for the internet to be adopted, right? For millions of, 50 million users to adopt it, and then for uh, when it was, OpenAI comes up with ChatGPT, and it takes, just like a few months to get to 50 million users, right? So it's just like the pace that things are moving. It's interesting to see that history, right, of things. But at the end of the day, like the technology is secondary to the purpose, which is,
Exactly.
which is the experience that we're talking about. You're still delivering an experience. If you don't have a strategy, you don't have you're leaving your experience to be a part of the wave, right? It can come and go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And that's what we got us started, right, when
yeah.
we first met. And I think that's something that we have learned over a period of time. So couldn't agree more.
Yes. Yes, well, absolutely. So you heard, from Saurabh, an experience, with global markets, with bringing in all of the pieces of the puzzle together to deliver an experience to business customers. So non-traditional views, right? We always hear about experience in a lot of consumer products, and one of the things I like to challenge is like, well, B2B, there's a human in it as well. So yep, your book, the title of your book, Saurav, that so you can invite our listeners to read it.
Yep, engaging silos for innovation. Keep in mind,
Yep.
once you have that together, the potential for innovation truly becomes limitless. So I'm excited.
Yes, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for this time, Saurabh, and to our audience, please send us your questions. You can connect with us, through the 4xmethod.com. So go and share, contact us and share your comments. We'd love to hear what about this message, like engaging silos for innovation, has resonated with you, and what questions you have. We'd love to hear back from you. Thank you, Sabrav, and to our listeners, everyone, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you at the live launch party coming up soon. So go and get your book. We'll
Thanks,
see you
Corey.
soon.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.